it's a durable wall system for your home, and you've got architectural finishes that concrete can provide many different finishes. And the company believes in is building a wall system that can handle our climate and our environment. You tick all the boxes with passive solar design and everything. The system works very, very well and comfortable, and it provides a healthy home. So the Pacific Northwest, probably one of the hardest climates you build in. You've got high humidity, rain, temperature fluctuations, not as dramatic as other parts of the country, but when you add in the cold rain, I just watch houses deteriorate. We want to put a product on the market that's going to be there for your kids, your grandkids, and the only thing that's going to take that wall system away is the urban development, basically.
Welcome, Damon. This is Damon Gray from NZ Builders. Welcome to Business Vancouver Island.
Thanks, man. Cheers for inviting me along. Good that I made the cut.
Yeah, it was hard.
Pretty good, mate. Clean shaved, nice haircut.
Well, we try. I'm still in my casuals from the weekend because we were camping, but thanks for doing this. We can dive right into it. Why and how did you end up on Vancouver Island and doing business here?
It's a bit of a story. So I left New Zealand when I finished my apprenticeship. It was a long time ago, isn't it? 2000. Went to the States because 85% of the youth was leaving New Zealand. So that's people under 26, and they're pretty much all going to the UK. New Zealand was in a bit of an economical downturn, and exchange rate was good for bringing back money and everything. But I didn't, because I'm a bit of a nomad and a bit of a against the grain sort of a fella. I ended up down in San Jose, San Fran area, the Bay Area, and ended up staying there for 4 years. And I was young buck, ready to conquer the world, and things were just getting involving. I worked for a company for a little bit and then started taking on small projects and building up, and I couldn't be legal down there. I was hanging out with that part of the market, and where it was all cash and everything, so I couldn't have insurances, so the jobs were getting pretty big, and I was feeling a little bit uncomfortable, and so I ended up saying, well, let's go to Canada, and basically thought just give it 6 months up here, and within the first 6 months bought a property and built a house, and ended up finding a lovely Canadian girl, and now I've got 3 kids and a white picket fence and a ball of a chain of a company.
And is that the house behind you?
That's our house. That actually we just sold that house about a year ago, but looking forward to building another one. Actually, it's pretty funny. I've been toying around with all the designs and everything, and it's my livelihood is design, build, high performance building for this climate up here, and durable generational homes. And I'm probably going to do the same house after all of that. Yeah, I'll just you can build your house 5 times and still it is not right. So I'm going to have another crack at it with all my knowledge I've learned from that one house and over the last 10 years, and see if I can crack it again.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. So kind of long story short, to re-summarize, you moved from an island, which island in New Zealand, to this island?
North Island.
Yeah.
North Island, yeah. So I was thinking about that the other day. It's pretty much same latitude, so same climate, maybe a little bit lower, because where I come from, if you got a frost in the morning, it's a cold day, and it's a little bit, but it's a drive from the top and to the bottom of the top of the North Island is 9 hours, so it's pretty close, depending how your foot is on the pedal. Yeah.
Yep.
So same size. 2 radically different coastlines as well. West Coast, East Coast is white. East Coast white sandy beaches. West Coast is dark iron sands and rough weather. So it's similar. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the people are similar. Good, friendly people. Once you crack that Victoria crystal ball, like once you get in there, you're good.
Yeah. Oh, good. And right now you're located in North Saanich, and your office is there as well?
No, I've got an office downtown, and then we're actually moved. We're in Central Saanich now, just a little bit closer to home, and where we were in North Saanich feels like the retired of retired, if you know what I mean. We've got a lot of time on our hands to complain about things. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But you also build on the Gulf Islands, and any builds North
any Gulf
Island as well?
Islands, yeah, all the way from and we go anywhere really with our the concrete side of the company, Monolith Systems. The other side of the company, we go Kelowna. I'd go down to the States. I'd go anywhere with it, yeah, because you're in and out short couple of months, and then pour the walls, stand them all up, and move on out. So that doesn't restrict us. But if we're doing general contracting, it's typically the islands and Vancouver Island, yeah. And then because we employ a bunch of foreigners, they're happy to go and camp up and check out different places of Canada. So it's kind of neat, yeah.
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 So the two firms, Monolith Systems and NZ Builders. Can you give us a little summary of Monolith?
Yeah, Monolith is the concrete wall panel system. It's a sandwich panel, so concrete outside, insulation in the middle, structural concrete inside. So if you're looking at replacing comparison to wood frame, the wood frame insulation, and then your siding is concrete as well. So it's very similar. It's just I feel, after researching and building in a bunch of different types of methods, I feel it's a pretty slick system, and it's cost comparable if you design to the system. It's like anything, if you design to the system, it can be cost effective. So Monolith Systems, we just go in, do the footings of a home or a building, and then stand up the walls, and then we can hand it over to a general contractor. So we're working with general contractors and homeowners as well. We might, yeah. So then NZ Builders, to get that company off the ground, NZ Builders is the general contractor and just helps that process happen. And then hopefully in the future, Monolith Systems will just be doing it for general contractors.
And what's the advantage for a non-construction? Because our audience is a mix of business owners, right? Some have never built their own business or their own office building and or their own home. What's the Coles Notes on the concrete framing?
Yes, it's I'm a bit of I like sustainability, so I'm about not producing too much carbon in this process, but at the same time, we live in how to explain the system. It's a durable wall system for your home, and you've got architectural finishes that concrete can provide many different finishes, but the main focus for me, or what I portray to believe in and the company believes in, is building a wall system that can handle our climate and our environment, and if tick all the boxes with passive solar design and everything, the system works very, very well and comfortable, and it provides a healthy home. So the Pacific Northwest, probably one of the hardest climates you build in. You've got high humidity, rain, temperature fluctuations, not as dramatic as other parts of the country, but when you add in the cold rain, I just watch houses deteriorate. I don't understand why we're using certain materials on the exterior of buildings, but hey, so be it. And but we want to put a product on the market that's going to be there for your kids, your grandkids, and the only thing that's going to take that wall system away is urban development, basically. And even in that situation, if you wanted to pull the roof off your house, you can take all those wall panels and relocate them. We just believe it's a smart wall system. It's just got a lot of benefits that tick the right boxes for us. Yeah.
Good. And what percentage of your business is on the Monolith side versus the full design build side, if that's what you consider NZ Builders?
I'd say 50% is probably on the concrete side. It's kind of picking up. We've never advertised or anything. We've just done pretty basic stuff for Monolith. So this is our first year. We're actually going to start marketing it. I just wanted to perfect the system first and make sure I've got all the materials and products to buy ironed out. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting. The next 10 years with that, it's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah. And how big is the market, do you think, for wall systems that are not wood frame?
Oh, I think I'd be into doing the wood frame, but the problem is, because we like to build quality, is the quality of the timber is getting really poor, and so now we're buying double the amount of timber or lumber to build a house to make our wall stud straight, or us for spending a lot of time on labour to straighten out walls and get it correct. And it's just I just see the waste, and I'm like, what are we doing? We're buying 14-foot long pieces of wood to get a 10-foot piece of wood, so we're throwing 4 feet away. It's a bit disturbing. With the concrete, we can order the concrete exactly to the right amount to pour it into our formwork. So so less waste anyway. But wouldn't mind using wood, but the attributes to the form systems that we have, we get such an accurate product that we're just leaning that way.
Good.
Yeah.
What are you excited about building these days? Do you have any specific projects or anything you want to build in the next?
It gets back to a little bit of your last question there. Legislation's changed, so we've got to build high performance homes. High performance homes equals energy efficiency. Energy efficiency, when you're building the caliber of homes that we're building, energy probably to the bottom line monthly is not a big thing, but it still is niggly. But if you build an energy efficient home, you get a comfortable, healthy home. That's the key thing. So I think for us is putting more of these homes on the market, and they're generally a piece of art. So the big focus is to be the leader of the high performance world and focus on people that want to build something that isn't just a run of the mill, and it's going to be timeless, and it's going to be appreciated for a long time. I don't want to be out there educating, because that's free money for me, but I think that the industry needs to be educated on what is right and wrong, and that's going to be a steep hill, and how to do that hopefully with clients and a collaboration with clients. I think we can get there.
You've won some awards with your builds. Is the message getting out? What was the big award you won last year?
But it was the best custom home, and for that year, and that was all a full on concrete home. That house is pretty cool. It's a bit of a museum. And then there's been a bunch of Tilt Up Awards and Georgie Awards and Sam Awards, and I just get dragged along, smile and look good,
But with those, more and more product on the market, right? It's that's part of the education, right?
Yeah. So we were doing one concrete home a year, 10 years ago, up until just recently, and now we're doing 5. So it's definitely getting traction, it's interesting also seeing what the clients are focused on. You got a little triangle, and it's either they like the design, they like the durability, or speed might be another one, but you got to figure that out real quick. Yeah.
Well, and it's working with multiple designers. As at five homes per year, you're going to be working with multiple architects. And that's one of the big, seems to me, one of the big education points in construction is bringing in all these professionals, and maybe the carpenter, maybe the GC, but there's all these other ones involved as well.
Yeah, that's an interesting question, because the industry is tough, but the people on the ground, the carpenters, the foremen, the PMs, once they use the system, they're like, oh man, this is great. On the top side, with the architects and the engineers, trying to get them on board, it's probably been the most challenging, but whoever gets super interested in it is going to get hounded. So we're using architects all over the world that have used the system before to get these plans across the line. And then, we've got a bunch of local architects we've been working with, and designers as well, and they seem to be enthused about it. So it's kind of neat. Yeah.
Any architects and stuff here on the island you want to give a shout out to that you've worked with and really had a good experience?
Oh yeah, there's a lot. I don't know. Well, mainly all the mainstream people. You got Christina Lintop. You got Charles with De Hugue, Peter, Yana Canet with Cascade. You got Dan Ambrosio with the Ambrosio design, and there's all. We got Ryan Hoyt, Chris Floyd, 519. They're all helping us out, which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. That's some construction specific, but fine to continue on that. But are there any businesses you'd like to see get started here on the island that would either help your business or help you in your family life and stuff? Because there might be something in New Zealand that's worked out really well, or in San Francisco, San Diego area, or something you just think we need.
Oh man, you're making my mind just buzz out here. There's a lot. If I look onto the industry side, I know you said it's very industry specific. I still have a hard time wondering how in New Zealand our materials can be double the cost. A sheet of plywood's well over $100, but the systems are so efficient that we're building at half the cost. So what's going on here? And I think if you spoke to Europeans, it'd be the same way. They'd be like, well, wow, that's all made in the factory, and we just turn up and the carpenters just put it together like a Meccano set. It's not fabricated on site. And I think the industry is lacking a lot of industry standards. So one thing I feel would be great to see is a legal standard for contracts for the builders. Professionalism in the carpentry and the home builders side of thing, like there should be a master builder program. We're a third party builder, so I'd do a peer review on another one of my competition and walk through, and then I'd say, hey man, you should there's some options here to clean up on and be more collaborative. There's enough work for all of us. Yeah, I think that would help out, because I think the industry gets a bad name in the custom home building because you're not provided with all the plans to price out, so you're winging it basically until the end. And I think a lot of people get caught. Well, I don't think a lot of people get caught out with overruns in custom home building. So it's a scary thought to be in. If you're building a home for $2.5 million and you're going to be 10 to 15% over, you kind of want to know. It'd be nice to have all the information in hand beforehand to see if you're going to be over. I think if there was one thing that would help our industry would be standardizing a system, a profession.
Well, definitely the lawsuits that do come up, and the cost overruns, right? I mean, that's big issue in construction, and just
because it's brutal. Like, because if we, I know contractors out there, they'll go in at a low price just to get the job, and then they'll sit on the legal side of things on the way out. I don't want to be in that position. I want to be honest, straight up, and say you can't afford. Like, let's not waste each other's time. You can either afford this or not. And we've got a lot of data we've collected over the years that show what homes have cost. And I don't know. It's a bit of a tricky one it's a frustrating one to navigate.
Yeah. So you're asking for not more regulation, but more collaboration and maybe better standards. There's associations we all belong to. I think they could put in. I think they're trying to, but it's a double-edged sword because it costs more money, so it gets pushed off to consumer. When you asked me before, I was like, scaffolding would be amazing if they had if WorkSafe just standardized that every building had to be scaffolded. So again, back to New Zealand, every building's scaffolded and tented, and we're still building houses cheaper because they've realized that it's safer once you've scaffolded. It's faster, so the costs of all the trades come down. But over here, if we put a line item in for, $15,000-$20,000 to scaffold a house, it's a cost that is not. It's an option. It's not legal. So just one example. Yeah, and that's an interesting thing, that collaboration from other jurisdictions, whether it's German carpenters or things like that. And you mentioned your workforce is a bit of a mix. You've got apprentices and internationally trained and locally trained.
Yeah, a bunch of misfits. I've got probably 50% of the company is from overseas. Has set up home here with families, or the Canadians. I think we've got one local, which is like a rare commodity to Vancouver Island. Like every time I meet one, I'm honed in on them. Oh my god! And so it's pretty cool because you can buy a lot of tools from overseas that they don't sell here. That's made our life more efficient to getting product installed. And so it's kind of neat when the carpenter's like, oh, you should buy this $5,000 tool, and you're like, maybe I should. And so definitely it's definitely cool to hear the different ways it's done. It's also it can be a bit of a curse because he's not getting back to that one standardized system. It's not one thing. And I was looking on Facebook Marketplace the other night, and I was like, wow, I can't believe this guy's advertising with a picture like that, because that is going to fall over. That's what we're up against. Professionals versus the guy in the back of the truck cruising around on a hammer.
Yeah. I've got two brothers who are red seal carpenters, and then I know developers, second generation developers, where it's the person who's taken over the company is doesn't have a real building background, and that's doesn't mean they can't build well if they really learn and they use the resources and the correct people. But I mean, as far as that oversight, it's a challenge on the full project, right? So
I feel project managers or anyone running a job should have come up through the ranks, and so they understand a little bit about every trade. Because you see jobs that are stacked with trades, and you're like, that ain't going to go well. But that's you do you to get get where you need to go. Yeah.
Cool. What's another Vancouver Island business you'd recommend to our audience, and why? And it can be business to consumer or business to business.
I've got a friend who's doing the tube. He owns the Tube Shack up in Cowichan, and renting tubes, and gives them a tour back. And I've been impressed with how he's growing that company, and just the way he's putting a smile on people's faces at a pretty minimal rate, and he's being sustainable about it too. And he's got a long trajectory ahead of him, and I kind of appreciate how much opportunity he's managed to scrape out of this one. Throw a tube in the water and see your client disappear down the river. I'd say the Tube Shack comes to mind when you say that. I'm always like, oh, that's a cracker of a business, that one. Yeah.
Great. So that's a seasonal floating down the river in a tube and shuttling back up business, the Tube Shack up in Cowichan. And who's the business owner there?
Aaron Frisbee. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, he's a young whippersnapper ready to conquer the world.
Yeah, well, it's neat. More of a meandering river is still a destination. We've got whitewater rafting on the Fraser. Calgary's got a slow river on the recreational side, but especially as the heat rises, we're going to need it. So,
oh man, that's a long chat, that one.
Yeah. Good. What's a funny story your family tells about you that you'd like to share with us?
I try not to listen to those stories. If they were talking amongst themselves, they'll be like, look at Dad out there. He never stops. My youngest, he's an absolute beauty. He's 5. He's going on 6 now. Comes to me the other day, and we were planting a bunch of trees on our property, and he's like, Dad, you never do anything fun. And I was like, this is fun. You just don't know what fun is. He's like, nah. And he can't talk properly either. He's got a bit of a speech impediment, which makes him even more cuter. And I was like, all right, so what's fun with you? What do you want to do that's fun? He's like, I think we need to bounce on the trampoline for 10 minutes. I was like, is that all it takes? I'm there with you. Let's go. But they're always just like, man, they're probably just wondering when they're going to shut down and go hang with them. But I'm hoping that those 10 minutes I hang with them. But I did dislocate my hip in motocross, so they did wind me up about that. how useless I am at riding a motocross bike.
Yeah. So are all three of them in motocross now?
Yeah, they were. I think they got. It's pretty intense sport. I think they got a bit burnt out on it. My middle kid got up on the podium and he won his little championship there. And he's like, "Got any words to say?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm retired." Drop the mic, move off. I was like, "Oh, I guess we're selling the bikes." Yeah. But now they're all lacrosse, soccer, and my middle kid, man, he's just fascinated with birds and chickens. So he's got his chicken coop and just got some ducklings on the weekend, and he's absolutely going mad on the fowl. So I'm getting dragged through that mess at the moment. It's pretty just interesting what these kids lock onto.
The family life is important. Now, as you're seeing this kind of transition, these little versions of you, and do you have three boys?
Three boys. Yeah.
Oh, that's a lot. I have one boy, and that's a lot.
Yeah.
What advice would you give yourself at 18 years old? Like, if you could go back, what would you change, or what piece of advice would really make a difference in your life?
Well, it's a bit of a catch-22 because I worked hard and I don't regret that, but I missed out on a couple of, stag do's and trips with my solid boys that I grew up with in my childhood, and I obviously put everything on the line to get where I wanted to be with the company and ahead in life. And I just think one thing is, if those opportunities come up, don't bow out of them. Don't be that headstrong, and stubborn towards your goals. Just take a moment every now and then. I think that's kind of, if I was 18, and I'd probably listen to my elders a lot more. Yeah, I could have shaved off 10 years of my life if I just listened to anyone but my dad, Yeah.
That's good. Do you have any Vancouver Island business mentors that you really get good advice from, or you look up to?
I was thinking the other day, I got a handful. I really go out of my way to spend time hiking with them, or basically just running scenarios past them, and they dig it as well. I'd say I've got three real tight guys that I roll with in business that are in the industry or not. So one of them's not, so they can see it from a different point of view. And I think that's key. I'm not much of a pen and paper guy, so verbally and with a bit of a whiteboard's always the best. But yeah, I'd say I mix it around. I just don't focus on one person.
Yeah. Who's the person outside of your industry that is that mentor?
Oh, that's funny. You know what? I converse quite a bit with Jason Cridge from Cridge Pharmacy. Yeah. Great. He's a sharp guy in the business front. Yeah. I respect what he's got to offer. Yeah.
You should always turn to your local drug dealer to get advice.
100%. Yeah. He's got it sussed. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's great. He's got multiple pharmacies and is growing
and he's growing. Yeah. It's cool to see as well. Yeah, he's picked an industry that can grow and scale, even in a local market. Which it's hard to scale a custom home company because you've got to be super talented to put all the pieces together and ask the right questions to the clients. So those diamonds in the rough of the project managers are, not many of them around.
For that growth, is it the project manager in the sales process or in the build process?
In the build process, yeah, you got to be on top of it, and you got to, I always say the PMs are restricted to their knowledge bases, are restricted to the tools they have in the shed. So if they've just run this way, then that's all they've got. But if they've done a wide range of stuff, they can take a little piece of that and put it into here. It's funny, the car building and mechanical side of things, I noticed those guys are very innovative, because they might have seen a tool or something they've used on their car and fixing it, and but now applying that into the custom home building, and I find that interesting. Yeah.
What else do you kind of see happening here in the next kind of 3 to 10 years on Vancouver Island with residential construction? Is there anything you're excited about, or any changes coming up that you think might be good?
Well, they want energy efficiency kicked in, and I've just seen they want the CO2, the carbon footprint of buildings decreased. I think that's really cool. I see that as being a game changer, and it's probably going to take, they want that done by 2032. I feel it's probably going to be 2042 by the time that gets ironed out. NZ Builders as a company is ahead of the curve. We've been doing it for the last 10, 12 years already, so we know what's efficient, what's not. And then that back, over to your side of, recruiting and everything, it's coming down to quality of craftsmanship to apply all these products to get an energy efficient home. And you got to be sharp. You got to know the why, and you got to know the whole building science back end. And if that's not getting taught to your carpenters, then you're going to miss a lot of gaps. And I think the industry is going to change from a standard of air changes per hour on a building. None of our audience probably, well, I say, small percentage of the audience knows what that is. But if you're getting low air changes per hour in your home, your house is built very well because there's attention to detail that's being attained to. So I think those are two things that are going to be really cool to see and interesting to watch. And I think Vancouver Island, there's so many people coming here, and the growth of it is just going to be substantial. And a lot of retirees coming in, a lot of people with old money, retired money coming in. It's I'm hoping that kind of money can influence the boundaries of pushing building and the innovativeness on it. I think I'm hoping that we start to see some real cool innovative building outcomes. Yeah.
Definitely. We're looking at doing a small build and multiple builds here on the island, and it is a surgeon coming back to Vancouver Island. A lot of people. I mean, we're looking at mid-May here, and we've had fires in Halifax and fires in northern Alberta, and we had one of the hottest starts to May. Coming back to the island is, we're getting some temperature extremes, but still not some of the real challenging things that we see in other places. So yeah, really great to be able to up that standard and have people be comfortable and not put more stress on a grid that is a little bit fragile here on Vancouver Island, because air conditioning and our power generation, if we could be sustainable on Vancouver Island, that's pretty nice, because transmitting electricity to Vancouver Island just doesn't make a ton of sense if we can avoid it, and we don't need more hydro on Vancouver Island. So
no, it's that's a big chat. I mean, I think a lot of developers and even just clients and consumers here need to look at the model of passive solar design. It doesn't have to be passive house, doesn't have to be any standard, but just look at the sun as your commodity. Like Elon Musk said, there's a fireball in the sky. Why aren't we using it? Yeah. And it's a big long chat, that one. Sustainable building, because once you build sustainably, it's not much. Doesn't cost that much more to get there. It's just wrapping that mindset around to do more insulating, build a better way. Yeah. And you weren't around for the leaky condo episode in fixed BC, a lot of it.
BC's building. Yeah. So you're involved in some of the fixing, right? So for some people who are new to BC, we had an arrow where the building code combined with some of the skills, but definitely the building code and some of the construction standards really degraded large condo buildings and also some residential homes and stuff. So, it looks like we're avoiding that here as we move forward, but also getting to a better, healthier place, right? Not just one goal of energy efficiency or sustainability.
Yeah, because you got all those certifications out there, but they don't tick all the right boxes, I feel. Because it'd be nice to buy more locally and do a circular economy. It's not always going to be the case on an island, but yeah, that's definitely a tough one to tick off all those boxes. It's just, I guess it's again, it gets down to education on the clientele's end. Yeah, understanding the why. I spent getting my feet wet in this country. Spent 10 years renovating rotten houses, and when I came to build my house, I was like, this ain't happening. Like, I do not want any wood exposed to the weather whatsoever.
And we'll just leave it. You've got some wonderful overhangs on your former home there. How big are those overhangs? My father built his own house and really enjoys the time on the porch, protected from the sun or the rain. So,
oh yeah, those are. I think they're 6'8".
Wow.
It was funny when we built those soffits. It was the longest day of the. It was middle of summer, longest day of the year, I think. So the perfect thing about it is I could push a sheet of plywood out over that roof, and I could judge where my shading was, because I didn't want in the summer you don't want any sun coming through your glazing, or else it's going to heat up the inside of your home. So I just pushed a sheet out to where it was shading the bottom of the doors, and then I said, right boys, that's where it is. Cut along there. Yeah, I think once you live in these homes, it'd be very tough to debate going back to a code-built home.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Damon, for doing this. Really appreciate it. I hope our listeners get some insights, and check out NZ Builders. They got a great website, and Monolith Systems if you're thinking about insulated concrete. Sorry if I get that term wrong, but really building efficiency. That's really important. Check out your options and always find a good GC. I know friends who have been going through it, friends who've built amazing homes by themselves, but also with great contractors. So keep Damon on your list.
Thanks, Kyle. Appreciate the opportunity.
Okay. Thanks so much.